Every time you pull a handful of weeds and toss them in the trash, you are throwing away the best fertilizer that grows on your own land. Free. And a bag of cow manure at the store now runs more than a good hen. My name is Elias Yoder. I am Amish. I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I will be honest with you the way I always am. That store manure carries weed seed and whatever they sprayed on that pasture straight into your garden. The green weeds by your fence carry none of it, and they hold more nitrogen than the manure does. In 7 days, you can turn them into a jug of dark feed that costs you nothing. Stay with me, because the one thing that makes it work in a week instead of half a year is already sitting in your kitchen. Now I want you to sit with this for a moment. You bend your back all season pulling weeds. You curse them. You haul them off in a wheelbarrow, and you feel good about it, like you cleared something bad off your land. And the whole time, that green pile in the barrow is worth more to your tomatoes than the sack you paid good money for at the farm store. A weed is not a weed to the soil. It is a plant that pulled nitrogen and potash up out of the ground with roots you could not match and packed it into every leaf. You have been throwing that away and then driving to town to buy it back in a plastic bag. I did the same for years. So, I am not scolding you. I am telling you there is a better way, and it is the old way. Here is the plain difference in dollars. A bag of composted manure where I am runs $8, $10, sometimes $12, and you need a good many bags for a real garden. The weeds cost you nothing but the walk to the fence line. But it is not just the money. And this is the part folks miss. Most manure you buy has not been fully composted. The seeds in it passed right through the cow and came out alive, and 2 weeks after you spread it, you have a fresh crop of weeds choking your beans. And if that herd grazed a pasture that was sprayed or was dosed with the wet weather medicines they give cattle now, some of that rides along in the manure and settles into your soil where it does not belong. The weeds by your own fence, you know exactly what has touched them, because the answer is nothing. That is control you cannot buy. I have gathered the whole home saving system into a book, and it is at eliassoder.com, and I will not bring it up again after this. I would rather earn your trust than sell you anything. So let me tell you plainly what the bold title means and where it stops. When I say this beats cow manure, I mean for green leafy growth, in a hurry, for free. I do not mean it does everything manure does. It will not build up your soil the slow, deep way a season of aged manure will, and there are plants you must never pour it on, and I will get to every one of those before we are done. Honest is better than impressive. I would want a body to be straight with me, so that is what you will get. Let me tell you why this works, because once you see it, you will not forget it, and you will not do it wrong. A living leaf is mostly water and sap, and that sap is full of nitrogen, the very thing a young plant craves most. Nitrogen is what builds the green in a leaf and drives a plant to shoot up fast. Now, if you want to get that nitrogen out of the leaf and into the water where your roots can drink it, you need help, and the help is bacteria. Tiny things, already living on every blade of grass, that eat plant matter and break it down. The scientists call them aerobic microbes. We just call them the good bugs, the ones that do the work without the stink. And here is the kitchen secret I promised you at the start. Those good bugs work slow on their own, and that is why the old rotting way took half a season. But feed them sugar, plain white sugar or a little molasses out of your cupboard, and they wake up and multiply like nothing you have seen. Sugar is fast food for a microbe. Give them sugar and air, and by the second day you have an army of them tearing that grass apart, pulling the nitrogen loose and setting it free into the water. That is the whole trick. Not a chemical, not a secret powder from a bag. Sugar from the shelf, where your wife keeps it for pie. I will not pretend that is some ancient barn secret, because it is not. But it is true, and it works, and it costs pennies. Now the other half of why it works, and this is the half that decides whether your batch smells like the woods after rain or like a sewer. The good bugs, the ones that make sweet dark feed, They breathe air, same as you and me. The bad bugs, the rotting kind that make that rotten egg stench, they take over the moment the air runs out. So the whole secret to no smell is one word: air. You keep air moving through the water, and the good bugs win, and the bad bugs never get a foothold. Seal it up tight in a bucket with the lid clamped down, and you starve the good bugs, and the rot takes over, and you get that black poison smell that everybody online warns you about. It was never the weeds. It was the lid. So here is what you need, and the whole parts list costs you next to nothing. A 5-gallon bucket, or any bucket you have. A pile of fresh green weeds or grass clippings, enough to fill it halfway. Water. And I will tell you the right kind in a moment. 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar or molasses for every 10 liters of water, which is about 2.5 gallons. A handful of dark, crumbly soil from under an old tree, and a square of cheesecloth or window screen and a rubber band to go over the top. That is all. You likely have every bit of it right now without spending a dime. I will tell it slow, in 5 steps, and I will stop and warn you at the 2 places most folks get it wrong. Step 1 is the grass itself. Use it fresh and green. Cut that day if you can. This is where the first big mistake hides. Do not use old brown hay or dried up clippings that have sat in the sun for a week. Once grass dries out, the nitrogen and the sap are mostly gone, and all you have left is carbon, which is fine for building soil slow, but useless for a fast batch of feed. You want it green and juicy, and chop it up with your shears or a knife before it goes in the bucket. When you cut the grass into short pieces, you break open the skin of the leaf and give the water many more places to pull the goodness out. It is the same reason crushed tea steeps stronger and faster than a whole leaf. Fill the bucket about halfway with the chopped green, and do not pack it down. Leave it loose and airy. Step 2 is the water. And here is a mistake that ruins a batch before it starts. Do not use tap water straight from the faucet if your town chlorinates it. Chlorine is put in that water to kill bacteria, and it will not know the difference between the bad bugs and the good bugs you are trying to raise. Pour chlorinated water on your grass, and you have poured disinfectant into a nursery. If you have rainwater off the roof or well water, use that and you are fine. If all you have is town water, fill your bucket and let it stand open, uncovered, for a full day, about 24 hours. The chlorine is a gas, and it lifts right out into the air on its own and leaves you clean water behind. Pour that over your grass and leave a good hand's width of empty space at the top of the bucket, because this is going to bubble and foam and rise, and you do not want it spilling over your barn floor. Step 3 is the sugar, the catalyst, the thing that takes this from months down to 7 days. 2 heaping tablespoons of sugar or molasses for every 10 liters of water. Brown sugar or molasses is even better than white because it carries a little more for the bugs to feed on. Stir it in until it melts away into the water. And while you are at it, this is where that handful of dark soil from under an old tree comes in. Sweep the dead leaves aside at the base of a big old shade tree and grab a fistful of that black, crumbly earth that smells of the forest. That handful is packed with wild native microbes and good fungus that have been breaking down leaves under that tree for longer than you have been alive. Toss it in. It seeds your bucket with the very best workers, and they get right to it alongside the sugar. Step 4. And this is the step that lazy folks skip and then wonder why their bucket turned foul. Twice a day, once in the cool of the morning and once in the cool of the evening, you take a stick or a length of pipe and you stir that bucket hard. Not a gentle little swirl like you are sweetening coffee. You churn it from the bottom up until you pull a whirlpool in the middle and the bubbles come rushing up. Every time you do that, you are dragging fresh air down into the water, and air is the very life of the good bugs. Miss your stirring for 2 days running and the air runs out, the rot takes over, and by the time you smell it, it is too late to save. 2 stirs a day. It takes a minute. Do not skip it. Step 5 is where you put the bucket, and it matters more than you would think. Do not set it out in the open yard under the full sun. On a hot afternoon, that water can heat up like a kettle, and the same heat that cooks your soup will cook every good bug you have been raising, and your whole batch dies in an afternoon. Put it in the shade, under a porch roof, under a tree, along the cool north side of the barn, wherever the temperature stays even and mild, and put the cheesecloth or screen over the top with a rubber band. Not to seal it, never to seal it, but just to keep the mosquitoes from laying their eggs in your good water while the air still moves freely through the cloth. Before I go on to the harvest and the 2 warnings that will save your plants, let me say one thing. My wife Esther and I started a little community for folks who want to live this way, off the store shelf and out of debt, doing things with their own 2 hands the way the careful old folks did. You can ask us questions there and swap what your own grandmother knew, and the link for that is down in the description. It is free to join, and it is good company. Now, back to the bucket. Watch it change, day by day, like a slow-moving picture. From the first day to about the 3rd, the water turns a silvery green and works up a pale foam on top when you stir it. Do not panic and think it is spoiled. That foam is the good bugs eating the sugar and breathing out, and it is exactly what you want to see. It is life, surging. It will smell sharp and grassy in these first days like cut grass, and that is right. Then from about the 4th day to the 6th, the green fades, and it goes a dark brown, like weak coffee or black tea. The grass is broken down and is settling to the bottom, and all that nitrogen has come loose into the water. And by the 7th day, you bring your nose down close and take a breath, and instead of a stench, you get a soft, sweet, earthy smell, like a forest floor after a rain. That is how you know it is done. That is the moment. Now let me say the safety word plainly, because this part matters more than any other, and if you skip it, you will do harm instead of good. This day 7 feed is strong. It is packed thick with nitrogen, far too thick to pour on a plant the way it comes out of the bucket. Put it straight on a root and you will burn that plant to the ground overnight. The salts pull the water right back out of the roots and the plant wilts and dies, and folks who did not hear this warning blame the method when it was only a matter of strength. So here is the rule, and it is not hard. You dilute it. 1 part feed to 10 parts clean water. 1 cup of the dark brew to 10 cups of water. When you are done, it should look like weak iced tea, that pale amber color. At that strength, it is safe and it is a gift to your plants. Full strength, it is a danger. 10 to 1, every time, no shortcuts. Strain the dark liquid off through a cloth or a mesh basket into another bucket, and do not throw away the wet grass left behind. Pile that spent grass around the base of your plants as a mulch, and it will hold the moisture and keep on feeding the soil as it finishes breaking down. Nothing here goes to waste. And one more warning while we are on safety. Do not pour this brew into a bottle or a jug and screw the cap down tight to save it. It is alive, still breathing, still making gas, and a sealed bottle will build up pressure and burst and throw black water all over your ceiling. Keep it in an open bucket or a loosely covered jug and use it up within a week while it is at its freshest and strongest. Now let me tell you plainly what this does and what it does not do, because a thing this strong in nitrogen is not right for every plant. And I will not have you learn that the hard way. This feed is a wellness for leafy greens, lettuce, mustard, spinach, kale, scallions, cilantro, chard, anything you grow for the leaf. Water this in, diluted, and they will grow lush and deep, green and tender, leaves as broad as your hand. But that same nitrogen that is a blessing to a lettuce is a curse to a plant that is trying to flower and fruit. If your tomatoes or your peppers have set their buds and their first little fruits, do not pour this on them. All that nitrogen fools the plant into thinking it is young again, and it will drop its flowers and its baby fruits and throw all its strength back into growing leaves. You will end up with a great green bush and not one tomato to show for it. When a plant turns to flowering and fruiting, it wants potash and phosphorus, not nitrogen. So set this brew aside for those and come back to it for the greens. And there is one more group to keep it far away from. The desert plants, your cactus and your succulents, the ones built for poor, dry ground. Drench their roots in this rich, wet feed, and they will rot and turn to mush and die past saving. Rich food, wrong stomach. Know your plant first. Now here is the part I want you to really hear. There is a great deal of money in that bag of manure and that box of blue crystal fertilizer, sold to you every single spring, season after season, for as long as you keep a garden. And there is no money at all, none, in a bucket of weeds you pulled for free and a spoon of sugar out of your own cupboard. So which one do you suppose gets the pretty commercials and the big display at the front of the farm store? And which one sits quiet, remembered only by a few old-timers who never stopped doing it? I do not call that a conspiracy. Nobody sat down in a room and plotted to keep this from you. It is worse than that in a way because it is just how it works. The thing that makes somebody money gets taught and sold and advertised, and the thing that is free gets forgotten. It sits quiet because there is no one with a reason to shout about it. That is all. But you can be the one who never paid. You can be the one who walked out to the fence line and pulled what everybody else throws away and grew a garden out of it for nothing. That is not about being cheap. That is about being free. So here is what I want you to do this week. You do not have to believe me. Just try it small. Go cut one bucket half full of fresh green weeds, chop them, and cover them with rainwater or with tap water you left standing overnight. Stir in 2 spoons of sugar and a handful of dirt from under an old tree. Set it in the shade with a cloth over the top and stir it hard morning and evening. 7 days from now, take a breath over that bucket. If it smells like a forest after rain, you did it right. Dilute it 10-to-1, water it into your lettuce, and watch what happens in 2 or 3 days. Start with the 1 bucket. That is all it takes to see it for yourself. And then come back down to the comments and tell me what you saw. And tell me what county you garden in and how old your place is. Because I read every single one, and I like to know where you all are. Tell me, too, if your own grandmother had a trick like this, because that lore is worth more than anything in a store. Next time, I am going to show you the old way we keep the mice out of the grain bin through the winter without a single trap or a drop of poison. So watch for that one. The people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember. The good Lord willing, I will see you then.